What happens when you're in the messy middle of a painting? How do you get out of it? How do you move past it? Well, today I want to talk to you about paintings when they get in this ugly middle stage. You probably heard so many different descriptions of it. The fuglies, the messy middle, the just muddy middle section of a painting. And it's enough to make us stuck. But I want you to also recognize, because this is all mindset, right? This is a really important stage of a painting because the messy middle is proof that you are growing as an artist. It's where the transformation happens. And I want you to know, you may recognize this from one of my last videos here. This is a really ugly painting. Now, I will sometimes keep a couple of these. I mean, I guess I always have all these around here, but what I was gonna say is this is just all my extra leftover paint at the end of the day put on there. And you may have heard some artists call this their throwaway panel or their scrap panel. And it's just where they park all their extra paint on a canvas because they don't want to throw it away and figure it can get used somehow. And so I keep several of these around. And this one is actually one too. And I just lay it down differently, but it's got a good amount of layers on here. I've used it as warm-ups, and then I start getting into seeing things, and here's how my mind works. I go, oh, this looks like it could be a landscape. I see landscapes in everything. This could be the bottom, the horizon line, maybe here. How can I work on it from there and maybe bring in a bit of a mood? Do I like these colors? Do I want to switch? Maybe I want to experiment and work on it. And I'll start shifting towards that. It usually happens somewhere in the middle. Let's say I've got like 5 or 6 layers already on there of just extra paint, which is perfect to get to that next stage. But I'm currently in that messy middle because it is nothing, and it's going to take effort to get it to be something that I want. And in my case, that's going to mean I have to drop back in mentally to, okay, what would my intention be with this? What would I want to feel when I look at this? It looks like a sunrise or sunset, something horizon-like, and can I expand on that and invite a mood in while I'm doing that? And that's where I go. So when I take out something like this, which has, believe it or not, you may not be able to tell, but let me slide it over here and show you. There are, if I can get the angle, like you can see, this is just paint. It's got a lot of layers that are uneven in here. And it's really quite ugly when you think about it because there's transparent paint over opaque paint and all of this going on here. There are things I like about it, but it can't stay at this stage. It needs definition. It needs a clarifying of a color palette, something that is dominant. And yes, we can say that, this might be the dominating color here, but it needs to be stronger, and it needs a lot more. There's no intention behind this. So that's what you feel, is there's a confusion because there's no intention. It's just a layering on of extra paint. However, those layering on of all that paint is really what we need to get it past that messy middle. We have to ask ourselves, how do we want to feel looking at this painting? And when you find yourself in this, I want you to just smile next time and know that you're growing and know that this is just a really important stage. It's the next step. You've got your initial layers, your intention, and then we get to that ugly middle part where it's a little confusing. We could potentially lose our focus, but that's where we're having that transformation. That's where the transformation happens. And it's super important. So pause if you need to and just go, all right, this is the stage. This is where my transformation is going to happen. And this is where the mood is going to shine. And then you start working towards that, intentionally focusing on the color and what it makes you feel. And you bring more of that in. And then eventually it gets to that point of where you want to be with your mood and intention. And that's the perfect place to communicate something through your art.